Hey everyone, and welcome. Let's talk about burnout. In our nonstop, high-speed world, it feels less like a temporary problem and more like our default operating mode, right? But what if the fix wasn't some new app or another productivity hack? What if it's an ancient piece of code, literally thousands of years old, designed to debug the human soul?
If you're in the tech world, you know this feeling deep in your bones. It's that state of constant polling. You're checking Slack, you're checking email, you're checking notifications. You're just constantly asking the universe, is there an update yet? Is there an update yet? The author of our source material, Chris Sean, has a perfect name for it: clock cycle exhaustion.
And wow, this analogy just nails it, doesn't it? It perfectly captures how much energy we're just wasting in our synchronous work culture. We're burning all this fuel just standing on standby, waiting for the next ping, the next meeting, the next demand. We are absolutely overheating without moving a single inch.
So this is where things get really interesting. This brings us to the core idea we're exploring today, what our source material calls the Persian operating system. Think of it as an asynchronous alternative. It doesn't run on a clock, it runs on events. It's an ancient guide to what you might call high-resolution living.
Okay, so what's the core difference here? Let's break it down. On one hand, you have the Western OS. It's all about the deadline. It's built for throughput. How many tasks can you get done? It treats time like something that's always running out, a depreciating asset. So the goal is always to make things faster, to minimize the duration. But the Persian OS, it's all about texture. It optimizes for fidelity. How much depth can you feel in any single moment? It sees time as an appreciating asset, something that gets richer. The goal isn't just to get through it, it's to maximize the density of the experience itself.
All right, let's dive in. If we're going to install this new OS, we have to start with the hardware, and that's the physical and mental space we live in. The very first principle is all about securing your perimeter.
You know, in traditional Persian architecture, you don't really see big, flashy windows facing the street. Instead, you just see a high blank wall. This idea is called durongara, or introversion. The house presents what you could call a blind interface to the outside world, and its whole purpose is to protect what's inside. And you know what's wild? This ancient idea is literally a core concept in modern software design. It's called encapsulation. It's all about protecting your private state, your family, your focus, your peace from the public internet of the world. So many of us suffer from leaky abstractions, right? We're always available. This architecture teaches us something profound. To have deep time, you first have to have encapsulated space.
So once that perimeter is secure, you've got to manage the internal heat. And this is where we see some seriously cool ancient tech. This is a bod gear, or a wind catcher. It's this incredible feat of engineering. You have a tower that captures hot air, funnels it down over a deep, cool underground water source called a qanat, and then circulates that naturally cooled air all through the house.
And this is such a powerful metaphor for how this OS works. Think about it. Modern air conditioning is real-time processing. It fights heat right now with a ton of energy. The bad gear, though, is a thermal cache. It uses high latency. It leverages the stored cold of the past, the deep, cool earth, to solve the heat of the present. It's a beautiful lesson that sometimes a buffered, high-latency solution is way more efficient.
So how does this actually look in our daily lives? Well, just think about your commute. On the subway, success is measured by one thing: arriving on time. Any stop, any delay just creates stress about the future. But walking through a traditional Persian garden, that's totally different. There's no single arrival point. If you stop at a fountain, you haven't lost time. You've actually increased the sampling rate of your experience. You've stopped predicting the future and started inhabiting the moment.
Okay, so we've talked about the hardware, our physical space. Now we're going deep. We're talking about the kernel of the operating system itself. And this part is all about refactoring our very sense of identity. In the West, we're basically taught to build our identity, our personal brand, as a monolith, a single centralized system. And if you're a developer, you're probably wincing right now because you know monoliths don't scale. They are fragile. They have a single point of failure. If your ego takes a hit, the whole system can crash. Anxiety in this model is just a load balancing failure. The Persian OS suggests a different way, a microservices approach. A decentralized, resilient ecosystem where your integrity is distributed across the entire network of your life.
So, how do we actually make this shift? Well, the source offers this simple, but honestly pretty profound analogy that all starts with the toys we used to play with as kids.
Think of the Western ego as an action figure. It's hard-coded. Batman can only be Batman. He has very low elasticity.
For him to change, he literally has to break. The Persian self, on the other hand, is like a Lego brick. It has no fixed identity. It's infinitely elastic. It can be part of a bridge one minute and a spaceship the next. And here's the key. When a project fails, the brick isn't broken. It's just disassembled, ready for the next build. No drama.
This whole concept of a formless, adaptable self is rooted in the Persian idea of hitch, or nothingness. Now, I need to be super clear here. This is not nihilism. It's not about despair or meaninglessness. It's an active state of pure potential. It's like deliberately wiping your computer's RAM to free up all the resources for a new, important process.
Let's make this distinction even clearer, because it's so important. Nihilism, that's a corrupted hard drive. It's a total system failure that says, you know what, this system has no purpose, so I'm just going to shut down. Nihilism, on the other hand, is a fresh, empty stick of RAM. It's all about peak runtime performance. It says, this system is capable of absolutely anything because I am holding on to nothing.
The great poet Rumi captured this idea so perfectly. He compared the human soul to a reed flute, and he asks, why does it make music? The answer is not because of what it's made of, but because of its emptiness. It's because it's hollow. It has hollowed out its ego, and that's what allows the breath, the signal, to pass through it and become music. Our greatest creative power comes from emptying the self.
Okay, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds beautifully philosophical, but how do we actually use this? How do we apply these ancient protocols to our modern chaotic lives? Well, let's look at a few practical system patches you can install, starting right now. First up, cache the heat. Just like that ancient wind catcher, don't react to stress in real time. Give yourself a buffer, a walk, a pause to cool the input before you even think about processing it. Second, encapsulate your core. Like those windowless walls, build a firewall. Set real boundaries to protect your mental peace. Third, filter the noise. Create low-pass filters in your life, like No Meeting Wednesdays, designed to let only the most important signals through. Fourth, async your life. Stop constantly pulling for updates. Just trust that the important information will arrive when it's ready for the handshake. And finally, number 5, and this one is huge, garbage collect. When your emotional buffer is full, don't just sit there. Move. Move fast. Use speed not to produce more stuff, but to release and flush the system.
And so, it really all comes down to this one question. We spend so much of our lives building these massive fortresses to protect our stuff, our titles, our status, our rigid, monolithic egos. But the Persian OS offers us a totally different path. So, are we building a fortress, or are we willing to hollow ourselves out to become an instrument ready to turn the breath of this very moment into music?